Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us today. You may remember me from such hits as the self-selection webinar. My name is Tom Galini. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the manager of residence admissions at Queen's. We're doing this webinar for folks who are going to be living at Jean Royce Hall this semester, just because we know you may have some questions about living at JRH or Jean Royce Hall West Campus, and wanted to introduce you to a couple of key people who will be really helpful in your journey as you make the transition to Queen's, to university, and to West Campus. So, and these are our Jean Royce Hall Peer Ambassadors, Zach and Shanitha. They'll be introducing themselves in just a second. And we're just going to take you through some really kind of high-level information about Jean Royce Hall to help get you acclimated and hopefully answer some of the questions that you have before you do move in. So we're going to go through a few slides, and then we'll take some questions and answers, and then hopefully that will give you a bit more of a sense of kind of what to expect when you get to Jean Royce Hall. Before we get started, I do want to acknowledge that Queen's University is situated on traditional Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe lands, and I'm a uninvited guest on those lands. I am an immigrant, but also a settler. And so I recognise that I have work to do in kind of understanding and helping to ensure the longevity of these lands. So I'm grateful to be able to work, to play, to live, to work on those lands. And I invite you, as you make that kind of transition from wherever you are to Queen's, to think about what that means for you and where you are in your journey with regard to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and how you can take part in that and what your role in that is. So just before we kind of dive into everything else, I'll introduce, like I said, Shanitha and Zach very quickly. So these are our two Jean Royce Hall Peer Ambassadors. They're here to answer questions that you may have about life at Jean Royce Hall. They both live there. They are both current students. And I think at this point, I will turn things over to them.
Thank you so much, Tom, for the introduction as well as the land acknowledgement. My name is Shanitha. I'm in the concurrent education program. I'm doing a joint honors in drama and psych and doing my teachables in English and drama. Other than that, I lived on West during my first year. I absolutely loved it. And I'm so happy to have the opportunity to join again this year as a Jean Royce Hall Peer Ambassador. And Zach?
Thanks, Shanitha. Hi, everyone. My name is Zachary Garbati, and I'd just like to thank you all for joining today. A bit about myself is I'm currently in the mechatronics and the robotics engineering program here at Queen's. And a little bit of a fun fact is I'm currently part of the QUIP program. So that's the Queen's University Internship Program. So I've been working at Ontario Power Generation for the last 4 months, and we'll be working for the next 12 months. So getting real field engineering experience. So just a little bit of a glimpse into what your university career might look like. But why are we here today? So like Tom mentioned, both Shanitha and myself, we're both residents at Jean Royce, myself in 2021. And we're just here to answer some questions and get you oriented into your transition to Jean Royce. So with that, let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay, so Jean Royce as an overview. So a high-level overview of Jean Royce. So there are 597 residents of Jean Royce, or in other words, 597 beds. So it's a decent chunk of all the incoming cohort of students are staying here at Jean Royce. To help facilitate the transition to living in residence, there's 16 Dons, which is a team of different individuals that are here to support you and be resources in your first year. Moving on, we have the Jean Royce Dining Hall. It is located here at Jean Royce, which is something that not very many other residences get to say. So there's 3 other residences that have a dining hall, Jean Royce being one of them, which comes in extremely handy as the Kingston temperatures drop, as they will come winter. Moving on, we have the Education Library. So the Education Library is attached to Jean Royce Hall in the Duncan MacArthur Hall. So you're, again, connected, don't have to go outside, all connected into the library, which serves as great resources for not only the Faculty of Education that is home at Jean Royce, but also for studying purposes as well. Looks like we've lost the slide deck here, but the next point was touching on the pet-friendly community. that is located at Jean Royce, where you're able to have your small pets, such as cats and small other pets, should you have opted into that before your self-selection. Moving on to the next slide, please. Perfect. So the first point I wanted to touch on is, what is a house? I know for me personally, when I was selecting my room back in first year, I was pretty confused on what is a house, what makes a house, why am I picking a house? So we've put a graphic up on the screen here that highlights what the houses are and how they pertain to Jean Royce. So there's phase 1 and there's phase 2 of Jean Royce, with phase 1 being home to the front desk, cafeteria, games room, the theater room, in addition to the residences, whereas phase 2 only consists of the residences for lodging the students. So in terms of how the houses operate themselves, they're basically a chunk or a piece of Jean Royce that consists of 4 floors. And depending on your house, you may be connected to another one. So for example, Curran and Douglas, I was in Douglas in my first year. We shared the floor with Curran. So it's a little hard to picture. You'll understand it once you move in, but you're connected all with your neighboring house to share the bathrooms, common rooms, etc. So that's what a house is from a high level. Moving on to the next slide.
Okay, so now I will be talking about the different keys that you will be getting. So you'll get 2 actual keys. Key 1 will be used to get into the phase 1 of the Jean Royce Hall complex. And those who are in phase 2 will also be able to get into the entrance of phase 2, of course, with that same key. Again, that same key will also get you into your specific house, as Zach just went over what houses are. And then the final key, or the second key, will gain you access to your specific dorm room. They will also be introducing key fobs this year, which will just give you access to the building's entrances, whether that be phase 1 or 2. Next slide, please. So connected houses, Zach also briefly mentioned this before. Some notes that I wanted to just point out about these connected houses are that each house has its own entrance, but some are connected internally, as said before. And the houses that are connected will typically share a common room on each floor. So I lived in Healy during my first year, and the connecting house was Laird. So on floor 1, the common room was in Laird. So if I wanted to use the common room on my floor, I would just go through the connecting doors and get there in like 2 seconds. It's not really hard at all to gain access to that common room. And then floor 2, it was in Healy. Floor 3, it was in Laird. Floor 4, it was in Healy. So it's just alternating. And that is typically the structure for most of the connected houses. But not to fret, each house will still have their own laundry room. And so I lived in Healy. So if I went to my 3rd floor, I could use that laundry room. And then people who lived in Laird would also have their own laundry room as well on the 3rd floor. Just something to note is that we do have emergency doors, and even just the doors that are used to get to the other houses internally. We have those doors, and they are to be used when needed, but they should never be propped up due to safety concerns. Next slide, please.
Okay, so now let's move on to bedrooms, washrooms, and common rooms. So there's 2 types of rooms here at Jean Royce. You have your single room and your double rooms, which are pretty self-explanatory in terms of what they entail. Single room is going to be just yourself, whereas double rooms you're sharing with another student. So on the left-hand side, we have a picture of the typical single room where you have your bed, desk, dresser, and something that's not pictured in this specific picture is you also have your own closet. Moving on to the double room, again, you have your beds, your desks. In the double rooms, you have wardrobes. And just a note about the beds is a nice perk is they're height adjustable. So storing things under them is pretty handy. As well as another note, just to get yourself orientated with how your room's going to look, there are 360-degree photos online that you're able to check out if you look at the Jean Royce Hall webpage. Next slide, please. Now into washrooms. So I know a lot of people tend to worry about the washroom setup. So let's just walk through that. So something that I got pretty lucky with, and that we're all lucky with, is the washrooms are recently renovated. So I believe they're renovated right before my year. So they're nice and fresh and great condition. So the picture that's shown on the screen right now is the communal type of washroom that you'll have on your floor. So towards the back are your two showers that you have your shower curtains for, and then the stall doors, again, reaching pretty high and go down pretty low to ensure your privacy. You have your two sinks as well as the toilet stall on the right-hand side. So in each house, you'll have a communal type washroom, again, as pictured here. And then you'll also have a private bathroom, which will have a sink and a toilet just by itself. That's secured through a full-size door. So with each house, you'll have two showers and two toilets. And then because you have a connecting floor, in most cases, depending on your house, that'll be a total of 4 showers and 4 toilets that you'll have access to, and 4 sinks. Moving on.
Here is a quick glance at our common rooms. So we have a sink that can be used to wash any dishes, wash your hands, anything like that. We've also got a stove if you want to cook anything up. If you don't want to go to the dining hall one day and you decide you want to make something of your own, we have that. We also have an oven. I know that really came in handy when it was Christmas time and we wanted to bake cookies. There's also a microwave, late night ramen sesh, always really important. We've also got a fridge. You can keep stuff in there. There's also a freezer attached to the fridge. And then there's couches and tables. Just one thing to note is that this is a common space, so always make sure that you're cleaning up after yourselves. And if you're leaving anything in there, like in the fridge, make sure you label it so someone doesn't accidentally take it. And yeah, next slide, please.
Okay, so dining at Jean Royce, how does it work? So as I mentioned, not very many other residences have dining halls within them or contained within them. So it's a pretty big perk having this inside our building or just a short walk between the two phases. So in terms of how it works, so between Monday and Friday, the breakfast and the dinner service here at Jean Royce operate on a all-you-care-to-eat style, where you're able to swipe in using one of your 19 meal swipes that you'll have in a week, help yourself to food, eat it, go back for seconds, etc., as much as you care to eat. In terms of the lunch service that's offered here at Jean Royce, it operates as a TAM style, where you're able to purchase, again, using your meal swipe, a single meal, including your meal itself and a beverage. And that's just a one-time meal for the lunch service. The hours that it operates from are printed there on the screen, with breakfast starting at 7:30 going till 9:30, lunch 11 till 2, and your dinner 4:30 to 9. On the weekends, the hours change slightly and they operate on a all-you-can-care-to-eat style. Again, swiping in and having access to all the food you care to eat. And that runs from 9:30 a.m. till 2 p.m. and dinner from 4:30 until 9 p.m. Moving on to the next slide, we have some dining hall tips that we want to share with you. So something that you're able to access every day before every meal is the today's menu page, which offers what's on the menu today. So you're able to select your dinner service, and it goes out a couple days in advance, and you're able to see and plan out your meals. So if you're on main campus one day finishing classes, you can look at the page, figure out where you'd like to eat, whether that's on main campus or going back to Jean Royce, and plan your meals accordingly, which ties into my second point, which if you're on main campus, you have access to any of the campus dining halls that you choose to use. And then we also wanted to mention here that we offer express to go meals, which are pre-prepared meals that are ready to go, which includes allergy friendly and true balance meals. And they're available each meal period to grab and go and move on to whatever, eat in your room, etc. Dietary needs. So we just want to point out here that you're always able to ask before you eat, whether that's speaking with the chef and determining safe meal options or customizing meals as so fit, as well as arranging true balance recipes. As well, you're also able to meet with a registered dietitian now or even throughout the school year, whenever is best for you, to plan and start preparing for any questions you may have regarding dietary needs. Next page, please. So now there's the Jean Royce barista. So what's the barista? So the barista operates opposite to when the dining hall runs. So when the dining hall is open, the barista is closed. When the dining hall is closed, the barista is open. So remembering back to the hours with breakfast service ending at 9:30, that's when the Jean Royce barista kicks off. So you always have continuous food from when the dining hall opens at 7:30 and barista carrying on until midnight. So on the screen here are two sample menus of the different offerings from the Jean Royce barista. The daytime menu requiring a meal swipe, and when you get into the late night menu after 9 p.m., that operates on a TAM style service. And again, the hours are listed there on screen. Really, it's a great resource to have food whenever need be. Moving on to the next slide, please.
Okay, now I'm going to be talking about the education library, which is probably one of my most favorite things ever at Jean Royce Hall. The education library is great because it has so many different resources, and there are books for people ages super young all the way to our age and above and whatnot. If you're in the teaching stream, there's curriculum books and stuff like that. But even if you're not, it's just really beautiful. There's a lot of artsy things in there, very colorful. It's very nice to look at. And whenever you need a break to relax, whatnot, you can grab a picture book and just chill out. Other than that, it's one of the most quiet libraries and probably the least busy library. And so I always found myself at the education library when it was exam season, because it wasn't that much of a hassle trying to find a spot. You can book private study rooms, and that can be done through the online website. But if you don't want to book a study room, you can just work in an empty study room as well, but you just run risk of getting kicked out if someone else has booked it in for that day. So we have the hours listed, but these are the hours of the library right now. They are subject to change because I do know that they are open on Saturdays once the school year opens again. And yeah, that's just a little bit about the education library, and I really, really recommend that you all go there. Next slide. Okay, to and from Jean Royce Hall. So this is probably most people's main concern about living on West, because it is around a 15 to 20-minute walk to main campus. However, not to fret, there are so many options for you with Kingston Transit, and I'll just go over some of the main routes that we recommend you take. So Route 1 runs between West and main campus in both directions. From Jean Royce Hall, it continues towards St. Lawrence College. So let's say you're on main campus and you're going on the bus and you are at the Jean Royce Hall stop. If you don't get off at that stop, it's just going to continue towards St. Lawrence College. Then we have Route 2, which runs between West and main campus in both directions. From Jean Royce Hall, it continues to Kingston Center. So if you need to go there and just don't get off the Jean Royce Hall stop. Then we have Route 18, runs west towards West Campus, so it'll drop you there, and continues to Via Rail. So if you are commuting anywhere, if you need to get anywhere through train, through Via Rail, that's a really good bus for you to take. And then we have Route 20, which just runs between West and main campus in both directions. For you to use the transit for free, you must have your student card on you at all times. And all you have to do is show the back of your card, which kind of indicates that you've paid your student activity fees. There will be a little sticker, and that's how the bus driver will know that you are a student at Queens and that you are allowed to take the transit for free. If for whatever reason you cannot take the bus, we have something called AMS Walk Home. They offer a discreet, anonymous, and confidential walk home service for Queens students. The hours are posted there, 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., Thursday to Saturday. So if you ever find yourself having to walk home late at night from main campus or just anywhere and you don't feel safe, then you can call this service and they will send someone that can help you, and they will walk you all the way to your residence, which will be Jean Royce Hall. Next slide, please.
Thank you. So again, because we get this question so often, I want to put together just a quick visual, put some math down in terms of commuting to and from Jean Royce. So one of the popular residences on main campus that you'll hear about, I'm sure, is Brant Residence. It's one of the newer builds. And when you compare the distance between walking from Brant Residence to Stauffer Library, I just want to draw what the time difference is. So this is all using Google Maps. I'm not mixing up any of the numbers here. So it's a 10-minute walk from Brant Residence to Stauffer Library versus Jean Royce. It's a 2-minute walk to the bus stop and then a 5-minute bus ride right down to Stauffer Library, where the bus stop's located outside. Again, you have to plan out your routes for sure, but really, because the bus route's so accessible, I just want to draw the conclusion that, you know, it is very accessible to reach different places at campus in a timely manner compared to the other residences as well. Next slide, please.
And that is almost all. We just have a few testimonials from some of my great friends. So first we have Ryan, and this is what he had to say. He says, "Hi, my name is Ryan, and I've lived on West. Since I'm in the life sciences program, literally all of my classes were in the Duncan MacArthur auditorium, and living on West made mornings really easy as I could roll out of bed at 8:28 a.m. and make it on time for my 8:30 morning classes. Also, being able to get to class without having to go outside really helped during the winter, and any classes on main campus were literally a 5-minute bus ride away, with buses coming super frequently. The fact that our dining hall was located in the same building also meant that you can get food literally whenever you want, rather than waiting outside when there's 4 feet of snow trying to squeeze your way into Lenny. Everyone dreads being at West at first, but I've met a lot of great people there, and it really lets you be a part of a closer-knit community than my other friends have had on main campus. Anyways, in conclusion, West is best." And you can see in the corner, there's a picture of me and my friend group, and that was on our last day moving out of residence. We were all really emotional, so I was like, we got to take a picture to commemorate. But yeah, that's our first testimonial. And then for the next slide, this is a testimonial from Chloe, who was someone I met on West at the bus stop, actually. She says, "I couldn't have imagined living anywhere but on West Campus my first year at Queens. The friendships I made were beyond anything I could have ever asked for. Everyone became so close so quickly. We had family dinners and went out together, which made the transition into a new environment that much easier. I will forever love my fellow Westies, #West is best." And those are just a few testimonials. Next slide, please. So something to look forward to is our move-in day. Just a little bit of information here. Your zone will be the pink zone. So whenever you come in on residence move-in day, you'll see that each residence has a different color and different posters attached to it. What you'll be following is the pink zone. And other than that, keep an eye out for our scavenger hunt, which starts on move-in day. And I think we'll be transitioning into our Q&A now.
Yes. So just a quick note before we get into the questions piece. I just want to draw your attention to 2 emails on the screen right now. So for general questions, I know you might have some now using the chat, which is great. However, after this call and into the school year, if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to the first email there, the JRH Peer Ambassador email, which is an email address that Srinitha and I share to answer your questions and set up calls, etc., just to serve as a resource to you and aid in your transition to Jean Royce. In terms of admission inquiries, if you have any questions about the logistics behind admissions and in your room specifically, please reach out to the Res House email there. So feel free to take a picture of that to save for later down the road. Besides that, that's all the material that we prepared to share with you. We'll now transition into some questions, which I see some are populating in the chat, as well as some other Q&A questions that we've prepared. So I can start it off right now. I see one from Mateo that's been asked, and it says, as an incoming mechatronics and robotics student, nice choice, it's the same as me, would you say that being so far away from all your classes affects your time that you have to learn and study? That's my biggest concern as of right now because of the course load. Sure. So in any program, you're going to have a high course load that's going to be demanding and that you need to balance your time. Whether you're on main campus in a residence or on Jean Royce, it all comes down to how you manage your time. Being on Jean Royce and having that the step of having to plan your bus routes and make sure you're lining up your times with the bus schedules and your commuting time, I think it really actually benefited me being able to block off my time, and it encouraged me to stay on campus to study when I had my classes on campus, because I know I had to add in and factor in that travel time. So really, it does encourage you to be able to study. So it all comes down to yourself as an individual in terms of having enough time and dedicating your time. But I really do think that managing your time will be your biggest asset to setting yourself up for success, and that you should have no problem at all. Thanks for the question. Moving on to the next question, Shanitha, I'll send this one over to you. I see it was answered, but just so we can put it out there, because I know we didn't touch on it. How far away is phase one of campus from phase 2 of campus?
Okay, let me tell you, it's literally like 2 steps. From phase 1, there is a back exit / entrance. You can get out from there and then you walk, I want to say like 30 seconds max, not even like 20 seconds max, and then you can get to the front of the phase 2 entrance.
Super close.
Yeah, like very, very close. Are there any other questions?
Maybe I'll take one from the prepared Q&A. Again, just talking about distance from Jean Royce was one of the ones we prepared in terms of walking distance. So I just want to point out that to walk from the front door of Jean Royce to main campus is about a 15 to 20 minute walk for able-bodied peoples. Again, that can be heavily expedited to that 7-minute stat that we had on the screen earlier. So for your commuting time. I see there's another one here, Shanitha, if you want to take this one. Does wintertime affect the bus schedule? For example, heavy snow.
I'd say that unless like permitted by like the city itself, it shouldn't really impact the busing schedule. I do know that obviously heavy snow may be an issue sometimes, especially because we do live in Kingston, but I haven't experienced any major delays or anything due to snow unless it's been like advertised by the city itself. How about you, Zach?
Agreed. I never ran into a bus being canceled before, and there's been some pretty crazy winter storms I've experienced. So you should be good there.
Mm-hmm.
The next question I think we could touch on is mail in the residences. So how does mail work? So just a little bit of info about that. It was mentioned here in the chat that you pick up your packages from the front desk at Jean Royce. There's some information online on the Jean Royce webpage that you can find. But just speaking to the simplicity of it, you just basically put down your name, your house, your room number, and all your packages will be directed to the front desk at Jean Royce, where they're kept securely, and you'll be notified every time a package shows up for you to come retrieve. You just have to show your student card and you're able to get your packages. So rest assured your Amazon purchases will be safe and easy to grab.
I saw another comment in here that I can answer. How many dons are in each house? Example, layered house, and on what floors? So if you have a connected house, you will share a dawn for the first 2 floors, and then there will be a different dawn for the 3rd and 4th floor. And so for me, they lived on the 2nd floor, and I lived on the 1st floor. And then I believe it was the 4th floor. So usually even numbers. That's how it typically works, but it may change. But they will let you know the first day you go.
Yes. Moving on to the next question. I see there's a note here about the amount of people per house and the amount of showers. So with myself, I was, again, in Douglas House in my first year, 4th floor. And I was worried about the exact same thing, the amount of showers per people. However, I only ran into it twice, I believe, where the showers were busy and I had to wait. Usually you're pretty good with lining up your showers. Again, you're going to have this problem in any residence, where it be it. However, if there's no showers available on your floor, you can run down to the floor below you, is what I ended up doing. So there's always options. And I found that while there is only 4 showers, just based on the timing and all that, it does work out pretty well in your favor. Rest assured.
Yeah, same. I would literally shower at the most random times, and honestly, I never had a problem, so it'll be okay.
Moving on to the next question, I see there's one about classes ending on 9:30 on a Monday. So yes, there are classes that do end early. However, with it being 9:30, the buses are still running and you'll still be able to catch a bus back. While the walk home service might not be available, you are able to catch a bus back safely to residence.
I see a question about bringing your own toilet paper. No, you do not need to bring your own toilet paper, and you do not need to bring your own hand soap. Those will be given to you there. Ooh, there's a good question about garbage. Do we bring our garbage from our room to a main garbage area? Yes, there is a main garbage area in phase 1, and it's right, like, you'll see it when you get there, but it's right in front of Healy House, and it's like a huge room where you can put garbage and recycling. And to get extra trash bags, they are typically kept in your common room in a closet, so you can just grab some from there.
Good question. There's another one here about the washrooms. Are they separated by women or men based off of genders? It's all based up to your floor and what you decide with your dons. So that can be a discussion that you can have on your during your move-in process and determine. I know for my floor personally, we decided not to opt with that, but some of my other floors they did go ahead and determine what bathroom you would use. And in terms of how often washrooms are cleaned, I don't know the exact schedule, but they were cleaned fairly often. We never had any issues with the cleanliness. They were always staying up right on top of that. There's another good one here with curfew. I see Tom touched on that. So yes, there's the residence contract, and there is set quiet hours. So just maintaining respect for the other students in your residence.
And if you ever fall into any issue with like someone being really loud and it's quiet hours or exam season, I know there's even more quiet hours that are put into place. You can always talk to your Don and they will really help you out with that.
There's a question here about, is it worth buying a bike? Again, that's all up to you and your personal preference, but something that we didn't touch on that would be worth mentioning is there is a secure bike storage location on Jean Royce that you're able to, I don't know all the details behind it, but from my understanding, you're able to sign up and you receive either a PIN or fob access to the bike storage locker to store your bike. So if busing is not quite your thing and you prefer to bike, there is that option as well.
How late do the buses run and how do we get home if we are out late? I don't remember the exact timings, but I do know there are buses up to 12 a.m. There may be some that go later. Do you know, Zach?
It was a few years ago, and I know the bus schedule was changing quite a bit. All I know is that they went pretty late into the night. Again, if there's no buses that are running when you're looking to get back, you can, use walk home. You can use Ubers, taxis, etc. Emma, I see your hands up.
Hi, folks. My name's Emma Ferguson. I'm one of the assistant managers of Jean Royce, and I formerly managed the building as well a couple years ago. As a heads up, you might hear my cat meowing in the background. Just want to explain what the noise would be. There she goes. But good to know about the bus system is over the past couple of years, we had received feedback that folks in more of those late night hours were not as comfortable walking from the bus stop to in front of Jean Royce. So they've now amended the bus system so that some of the late night buses will drop you off directly outside of phase 1 and outside of phase 2 as well. So just wanted to make sure you folks know that as well.
Yes, that was really a good mention, because I remember whenever I would have to take that bus going home, I would just be like, yes, it will drop me directly there. I don't need to walk an extra 2 minutes to get into the residence, especially when it was cold. I know it's a little bit silly, but I loved taking that bus. Is a fan or purifier needed? Purifier purely up to you. I would recommend a fan for sure. Zach? Same.
Yeah, I like my fan. Sleep with them on. So that's personal preference, but fans are also great for drowning out the sound. Wherever you are, there's always going to be noisy students possibly. So it does come in handy with drowning out the sound for sure. There's a question here about the first floor. Is it a basement or is it the first floor? So in terms of how it works, it's not a basement, so it's at ground level. So there's also like an emergency exit outside of that, the first floor, and you come out right on the ground floor. You do go down the stairs, going from the main piece of Jean Royce into the first floor, and that's just because of the elevations and how it works. But you are situated on ground level. You have a window outside. No problems there.
I see a question about any items you recommend. I know I recommend a shower caddy, especially because it's a common bathroom. And so a shower caddy is just like a little thing that you can carry, and you can put all your soaps in there, your loofah, your anything. And then when you're done, like using the bathroom, you can just take it with you and go back to your room. Because we wouldn't recommend you just leave stuff in the bathroom. There's so many other people using it. Don't want your stuff to get stolen and whatnot. Any other item you might recommend, Zach?
You took mine. Shower caddy is a good one. Shower shoes, also a good one.
Oh, shower shoes, yes. Very important.
Some games, entertainment, photos, all that good stuff.
Yes.
I don't think we touched on the games room. I thought maybe we can touch on that. So just a little bit of info for everyone else is that there is a games room located at Jean Royce. My year, it had a pool table. Don't quote me on what's there in your current year, but there is a variety of different activities that you're able to take advantage of and use, and you're able to do that all through the front desk. So by trading in your student card temporarily, you're able to get access to, for example, like the pool balls and pool sticks, and the different games. So just a little tidbit of information there.
There's a question regarding like events that go along on main campus and being on West, making it difficult to participate. I don't think it does. Like, there's no event that happens on main campus that will run like that late where you can't find a bus back. But yeah.
There's a question about the beds being comfortable or not. Do we need a mattress topper? Myself personally, I did not get a mattress topper. I just used the beds there. I believe that's just probably personal preference, but I found the beds to be pretty good myself.
I had a mattress topper, had some of my best sleeps in that bed. So hard to believe, I know, but I don't know. They were good.
Fair enough. There's a question about kettles in common rooms. To be honest, I think it's pretty hit or miss in terms of what is in the common room. Sometimes they have them, sometimes they don't. I know there's microwaves in them. I brought my own in first year, and just a note on kettle appliances or any other appliances such as coffee makers, etc. They need to be used in the common room. So if you do opt to bring a kettle or a coffee maker, just make sure you're using those in the common room. Lots of great questions here.
So can you keep cooking stuff in the kitchen cupboards like pans and do the stoves work? The stoves do work. You probably can keep stuff like pans in the cupboards. Would I recommend it? I'm not sure. Just because you never know if like someone is gonna take your things and whatnot, or if they're gonna use it and stuff like that. I would just keep it in my own room. Same like situation of the shower caddy thing. Like maybe have your own little bag where you keep all of your kitchen supplies and just bring that with you when you want to use it, and then take it back with you when you're done with it.
Yes. Okay, so there's a question about the cafeteria. So it says, could you explain more about the cafeteria? From my understanding, we can eat everything for free, right? So it's included in your residence fees. So it's not exactly free. It's included in what you pay to stay at residence. But in terms of the food that you get, it's loaded onto your student card. So when it comes time for breakfast or dinner, for example, you go in, you take your student card and you swipe in. For the breakfast and dinner services, that's the all you can carry to eat. So they're not weighing your food. They're not doing anything like that. You can take as much or as little as you please and desire, and go from there. The lunch service is a little bit different, where one meal swipe is one meal. So one meal swipe, you can get your chicken sandwich, for example, and that's that for lunch service. Again, breakfast and dinner is slightly different, and you have 19 meal swipes a week. So I found it's more than enough to get you through the week, and I often had leftover meal swipes.
Also, if you ever have a guest that's coming and you want to use your meal swipe on them, you can get a discounted price for them. They can't get in for free, but they'll swipe you in. You can tell them, and then you'll have to just pay an additional $5 as opposed to what any other regular person walking in would have to pay, which is quite a bit more.
Agreed. There's a question here about the gym setup. Is there a gym at Jean Royce? So I believe that currently right now, the setup that they had previously is under renovations, and it's currently closed. But for myself, it was open in my year. However, I still opted to go to the ARC, the Athletics and Recreation Center that all students pay for into their student fees. And being able to just hop on the bus and take it right to the ARC was something that I did quite frequently. And then that way you have access to all the different types of equipment you need. Okay, so there's a question here about the meal to go from the cafeteria. Do we swipe a regular cafeteria meal swipe, or do we TAM? From my understanding, it was a meal swipe, pending that it's during regular operation hours. So one meal swipe would be equal to a meal to go from the cafeteria. There's a question about guests being allowed to stay overnight from other schools. I believe that the current policy, and Emma, feel free to jump in on this, is that there are certain restrictions throughout the year on when guests are not allowed to stay overnight. However, during periods of the school year when guests are allowed to stay, there is a process of getting the guests signed in through the front desk, and just some forms that you need to go through for that.
Yeah, that's correct. So within your residence contract, there's a specific area that talks about the guest policy. So as Zach mentioned, we do have some no guest period weekends and timeframes throughout the year, such as during orientation week and move-in this upcoming August 31st and 30th, and a little bit past that, or other weekends such as St. Patrick's Day or homecoming. And that's really just to ensure that our communities are staying safe and we're keeping it secured. And we also know who those spaces are around our communities, and we're able to support people to the best of our abilities, depending on what they're up to that weekend or weekday. For registration, what's going to happen is through the resident student and dining portal, you'll be able to find the guest registration form. And so that will only be available and be visible on the portal when it is active and it is a period where guests are allowed. So if you are looking for the form right now and it's not showing up, that's just because we're currently in a no guest period.
Thanks, Emma. There's a question about TAMs. How does that work? So I just looked it up quickly here. So you have 19 weekly meals. So those are your meal swipes. And then you have 200 TAMs. That's for the full school year. And when you use a TAM, you're also using a meal swipe. And all that information can be accessed through the Residences and Dining portal. Great question.
There's a question here about laundry rooms. Are they on the same floor at every house? Yes, they are all located on the 3rd floor of each house.
Okay, so I believe we're wrapping up to the end of our question period, but maybe we'll take a few more, Srinitha. Just pulling from the list that we had, we wrote down here about outdoor spaces, just touching on that. So where Jean Royce is located, there's a lot of green space located right around it. There's courtyards within Jean Royce that you'll be able to see. I'm not sure. I believe some of them were opening, possibly. Regardless, there's the backfield. I know playing frisbee or soccer was something I did a lot with my friends. Great big open field, as well as around the Duncan MacArthur Hall. There's some outdoor spaces as well.
We're also really close to our stadium, and that's where all of our big football games happen. So living on West, you kind of get a leg up there where it's really easy to hit the stadium, especially during homecoming and stuff like that.
Yeah, short walk for the homecoming football game. It comes in pretty handy, as well as different sports teams utilize that field, soccer, rugby, football. So especially for practices. So again, comes in nice and handy. So maybe we'll take 2 more questions, you think, Srinitha?
Yeah, sounds good.
Perfect. You pick one, I'll pick one.
Okay, what were your favorite meals at the Jean Royce Hall Dining Hall? Because I know I saw a question about what the food was like in the comments. So, Zach?
You're asking me.
Well, we can both answer.
For me personally, it was the crispy chicken sandwich. I was a big fan of that. And then I was able to swap out the fries that you get with it for the Caesar salad. That way, got my balance there. So yeah, crispy chicken sandwich and a Caesar salad was my go-to.
Okay, I guess you just stole mine. My favorite, it's a barista item also, is the crispy chicken sandwich. And when they had it, get it with spicy mayo. It's so good. And I got it with fries instead of Caesar salad. I think my favorite like dining hall meal though was there'll be like different events and different specialty food days, which is really cool. And in the dining hall, there's a huge calendar and it'll tell you when all the different specialty days were. One of the days we had like a special chef and they had like this little station of these really amazing tacos. There were like 3 different options. I had this shrimp taco with like mango salsa and it was incredible. It was really good. So yeah, keep an eye out for those specialty days. I know one year there was like, I think it was actually my year, but I got sick, so I couldn't go because I was going home. But there was like a carnival theme. There's like cotton candy booth and all that stuff and little games that were going on in the dining hall. But yeah, pretty good, I'd say. Not pretty good. It was pretty.
Sometimes there was cheesecake pizza. For my year, at least, there was always pizza options available, and they bring up the cheesecake pizza, and that was always pretty good. The last question I'll touch on here is about study rooms. Is there study rooms in the residence building or only the library? Thank you, Emma, for answering this. I just thought I'd mention it for everyone's awareness. So while you do have your common rooms to study as well, something I want to share is, again, Srinitha also mentioned this, is the study locations within the library. There's study rooms in the library as well that you can book out. But it was really a huge resource was having the study rooms available during midterm season and exams. There's like little cubicles set up on the top floor that you're able to go, clock in and do your work for that. So definitely make sure you explore within reason Jean Royce and really get acquainted with everything it has to offer, because I know I didn't discover it until winter exams, I think, the library. So it definitely comes in handy knowing what's available to you and taking advantage of it from the start.
I'm not sure if you touched on it, but I believe we do have like a little quiet zone space for studying. I don't think it can be rented out per se, and it is quite a big room that a lot of people typically share. But like instead of trying to go to your common room where it could be loud and people are talking, there is a little designated zone within the residence itself, and that would be in phase 1. And I know a lot of kids used to go there during exam season and kind of study together. So if you don't want to go to the library for whatever reason, or if all the rooms are booked up, might be worth exploring that.
Absolutely. No, you're definitely right. You're bringing back memories now. It's a great spot. But with that, I'll just personally put in my closing comments, and then maybe I'll pass it over to Tom if he has anything else to add. Just recapping that if you have any other questions that we didn't get to touch on today, to please reach out to our email on the screen. Feel free to take a picture. I believe it's going to be sent out in some future communications to you, just that we're a resource available to set up and talk, or even for Mateo if he wants to talk about mechatronics engineering still. We're here, we've been there, so we're really here to just be a resource available to you. And thank you all for your time tonight. Tom, I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Shanita. And thanks everyone for those of you who stuck around for the full presentation. We hope that was useful and kind of gave you a bit more of an idea of what to expect at Jean Royce Hall. I would invite you, as Zach was saying, to reach out to Zach and Shanita in the next couple of weeks as you look to kind of prepare for your move to Queen's. You can always contact us at reshouse@queensu.ca if you've got kind of questions about things like fees and things of that nature, more of an administrative nature. But if you're looking for those questions, like, you know, do I need to bring X, Y, or Z? Zach and Shanita are a really great resource, and actually you'll probably get a faster response from them than if you contact Res House. So you've got a great resource here, so I really encourage you to take advantage of them. We know we won't necessarily have answered all questions, but do reach out to Zach and Shanita. And like you've seen, they've had kind of two kind of different experiences at Jean Royce Hall. They're in different programs. Both doing really, really well, and are here to help you. So hopefully between this webinar and the move-in webinar, you feel you have enough information coming to Queen's. So yeah, just continue to ask those questions, and we're here to support you. And I think I know that Zach and Shanita have both been working today, so we'll let them go. I know that the webinar is supposed to go until 7 o'clock, so maybe a couple of us will stick around to kind of try and answer as many questions as we can. But for those of you who need to go, thank you so much for attending, and I'm sure we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, and best of luck in first year.